An Introduction to Social Policy by Dr. Nick Wilmore. Part 7. Some concluding thoughts around social policy. I'm now coming to the end of the session, you'll be glad to hear. Guess there are a couple of things that I'd want you to take away from the session. One of them is that social policy is a field of study, and one that seeks to promote social justice. That I don't believe anybody creates policy seeking to enhance injustice. Their approach may be wrong, their approach may not be effective, but I don't think the expectation is that people set out fundamentally to create injustice. But social policy is not stationary. It's not fixed. It's constantly evolving. Social expectations change and develop. It can be progressive, but it can also be revisionary. And I think that's important to maintain that critical faculty that usually social policy is discussed in terms of an improvement. But that improvement may not always be heading in the way that you might expect in terms of your values as a professional and as a person. The implementation of social policy is important as the policy itself, because ultimately the devil is in the detail. It's about how you go about making the changes, how you make local and national policy work, and that there is the potential that there are unintended consequences from that implementation. And this is now bringing me back to why I find Lipsky quite persuasive in his approach. Social work is closely aligned to social policy. There's no two ways about it. We are, in many ways, a key implementator of social policy, particularly for those that are excluded or marginalised in society. So the effective practitioner has to be aware of and follow developments in policy at all levels, whether that's professional, local, national, and taking an element of spotting future trends, if you like, about actually if what you're trying to do with that person is to be sustainable and to have a positive approach, you need to be able to do it in a way that takes into account changes that are anticipated in future policy. And that means a bit of realistic horizon scanning as you develop your professional practice. And that social policy happens top down, yeah, but it can also be bottom up. And as social workers, our ethics and values guide us in terms of understanding both factors and incorporating that in our implementation and development of social policy in our day-to-day work. And I think that's quite a challenge for us. And I think it's also an interesting comment, if you like, on why social workers can never win. Because actually, we're trying to actually satisfy several different initiatives simultaneously, and when you do that, you can never win. Just before I go, I thought I'd leave you with my references that I have relied on through this presentation. Like all good academics, I have tried to base my comments on established sources, but recognizing that sometimes the best comments are when people are summarising their own work, which is why I've unashamedly relied on things like Professor Taylor Gooby's blog. but then I'm not writing an academic assignment. So I hope you find those useful. There is a huge amount of material about social policy out there on the internet and in journals. Please do delve into it. I find it's a fascinating subject, and one that I think you will find will continue to develop and challenge you going forwards. As I finish this session, can I just say thank you for listening. I hope you have found it interesting. As you may have gathered, I do find social policy very interesting, quite a challenge, and one that I could go on for hours, hence only introducing this as an introduction. Obviously, I'm looking for contributions in terms of other subjects that might well be usefully followed up in this series. And of course, you can't have too much of my face. So if any other contributors are interested in recording a slot and coming on the channel, more than happy to have a discussion with you and seeing what we can put together. In the meantime, please do subscribe to the channel as a way of keeping up to date with anything new I come in with, and also providing YouTube evidence that actually something is happening that's useful, and not deregister me, please. So thank you ever so much, all the best, and goodbye.